Hello everybody, this is Valencia and welcome to my channel Balloons and Business, where I show you the business of balloon and event decor. So today I'm going to show you how I saved this balloon arch. So I will just say this, that a relative was graduating from high school and the celebration was supposed to be had, and an attempt was made to make an outdoor arch using a cheap arch kit, and it wasn't going so well. So I attempted to help, but even I was having trouble. However, I was able to pull this together at the last minute. So if you want to see how I did this, just stay tuned. So this is the stand in question. I'm not going to tell you where it was purchased because it's irrelevant, because you do not need to get this one, especially for an outdoor setup. The base plates are way too small and the poles are too narrow. Now, of course, without any balloons, it looks like it's going to stand up fine, right? But once I start putting on balloons, that's where the problem started. But first, I'm going to show you how I made the garland. So this is Tough Tex plum balloons in 5-inch, 11-inch, and 17-inch. You're going to blow up 2 balloons at a time, round them out by releasing some air from the balloons, and tie them together into dupes. Now, since it's going to be an outdoor balloon arch, you definitely want to make sure that you underinflate your balloons, especially these dark colored balloons, because they do attract more heat because of their dark coloring. And honestly, it is suggested that on really hot days and stuff like that, that you keep the balloons in a shaded area outdoors so they're not exposed to both heat and direct sunlight, because even the best of balloons can pop under those conditions. So I'm also using Sempertex Fashion White in 5-inch, 11-inch, and 18-inch. And I also use Sempertex Reflex Gold in 5-inch and 11-inch. So now I'm going to make my clusters, and I'm using 3 dupes or 6 balloons. So I'm doing 2 11-inch dupes and 1 18-inch dupe for the purple, 2 11-inch and 1 18-inch dupe for the white, and 3 11-inch dupes for the gold. Lastly, I'm going to take my 5-inch decorators and using a hand pump, I'm going to do 2 pumps to each balloon, round them out, tie them together into dupes, and then I'm going to take 2 dupes, twist them together, and get a 260 balloon. This is Decomex brand. This is the black lone stretchy balloons you make balloon animals out of. And I'm going to tie 1 cluster of 5-inch balloons to one end and 1 cluster of 5-inch balloons to another end. And you want to make sure you remember the pattern of your balloon garland when doing this. If you want to tie the clusters individually and you don't want to do it this way, I would suggest that you cut the 260 in half and then tie the halves around each individual cluster. So here it is, the dreaded stand. So now I'm going to add my clusters, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide them through the pole, and I'm pushing them down, and then I'm going to take the 2 balloons that I slid through the pole and then twist them around to make sure that the clusters are secure on the pole. So I'm just going to do that with all the clusters. Slide them onto the pole, push them down to decrease gaps, and then twist the 2 balloons that I slid onto the pole to make sure that the cluster is secure on the pole. That's all I'm doing. Now I know it's kind of hard to see from this angle, but as I'm adding balloons, I can see the arch frame start to bend backwards. So it's starting to go backwards. So you see it right there. It's moving and it's going backwards. That's because the weight of the balloons is adding pressure on that small little narrow pole, and it's losing its strength and it's going backwards. I also believe that one of the pole joints came undone. However, I was going to still keep going, and then once I was done putting all my clusters on, that's a 260 by the way that I'm tying onto that cluster, just so I can add at the bottom so it can cover up that water weight. But I was trying to put all of my base clusters on the pole first before attempting to fix it. This ended up turning into a mistake because it fell all the way down. You can see me struggling to fix it, but it will not stay up. So this is how the pole comes in the package. It's made in pieces connected through some type of string, and then you piece all the pieces together into silver joints. And so this makes the pole weak. So when you're trying to put balloons on there, the little joints can come undone. I would suggest if you use this backdrop stand, only use it for indoors and make sure you tape all of the joints together so that they will not come undone. Other than that, I would not suggest you use this. So back to this fallen balloon arch. So one of the joints did come undone and I'm trying to put it back in there. And I also got a piece of tape because I was trying to attempt to tape up the joint so that it wouldn't keep coming undone. But unfortunately, that did not work. And now it's time to bring out the heavy duty equipment. So this is an 18 by 18 inch plywood board with a 1/2 inch floor flange screwed into it. And then this is a 4-foot long galvanized pipe that is a 1/2 inch in diameter. And I'm just going to screw that pipe into that plywood baseboard. So this is the stand I normally use for my outdoor balloon arches. I did make a couple videos on how I make my outdoor balloon arch stands. So if you want to see them, just check the description box below this video for a link to one of those videos. And I will also have that same video pinned at the top of the comment section. Okay, so check that out for the video on how I make my outdoor balloon arch stands. So I was short on time and I couldn't find my PVC pipe that I normally use. So I just slid this stand into the galvanized pipe and then I just took the time to connect the joints together. So I had to take some of the clusters off of the stand so that I can connect all of the joints together. And I would suggest that if you were to use a stand like this, again, that you tape the joints, okay? Don't use it outdoors, but at least tape the joints because it probably would have been a lot more sturdier if I had taped the joints. So now I'm just putting the clusters back on my stand and notice how wide that base is at the bottom. That gives way more security. And notice how the galvanized pipe is much thicker and it screws right into the base. So I don't have to worry about it falling over. Now, of course, you want to add some weights to your base so that it can withstand being outdoors. But again, you can check out my video on how to make this stand for more information. So now I am adding my 5-inch clusters. I'm just going to wrap one of the clusters around one larger cluster of balloons. And then I'm going to just wrap another cluster around the cluster of balloons directly above it. And the 260 allows for a lot of flexibility to be able to reach up to the other clusters. Now again, you can add these 5-inch clusters on individually as mentioned before. Just cut the 260s in half and then tie them onto the 5-inch clusters individually. So I want to cover up my baseboard. So I'm using a 260. I'm tying it around the cluster like I did before. And I'm just wrapping that 260 around the balloon in the arch and tying that 260 into itself. I'm going to add 2 clusters there at the bottom on each side so that you will not see that base in the front. My relative didn't like the oxidized look of the balloons, which happens naturally outdoors, so I am spraying it with Mega Shine to restore shininess. Now, I did tell her that this could be an issue with outdoor balloons in direct sunlight, but she wanted it anyway. So here's the finished product to this balloon arch disaster. So I did push the balloon arch back a few feet because there was some shade closer to the house. I was trying to keep this balloon arch out of the direct sunlight as much as possible. I will acknowledge that a few of the purple clusters did pop by the very end of the day because it was 90 degrees outside. Again, this can be avoided by having balloons underneath a shaded area, a tent or canopy, as opposed to having them in direct sunlight. Again, I will provide the link to my video on how I made my outdoor balloon arch stand in the description box below this video and pinned to the top comment in the comment section. So if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, go ahead on and like it, and please subscribe, and you'll get notifications on future videos on balloon and event decor. And until next time, I will see you guys later.